Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors of all time, but did you know that the Oracle of Omaha is also one of the most avid readers? According to the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway himself, he spends about 80% of his working day reading and thinking, and for good reason. In 2000, he talked to students at Columbia Business School about his reading habits and told them that's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. Considering how successful he is, the billionaire investor might have a point. So, if you want to take your first steps towards becoming a successful investor, you should consider checking out these 10 investing books recommended by Warren Buffett. He'd been investing in stocks and handling his own business for decades when Bill Gates first met Buffett in 1991. So the Microsoft founder asked the seasoned investor to name his favorite business book. Buffett responded by not only recommending Gates a book, but also sending him his own personal copy of Business Adventures: 12 Classic Tales from the World of Wall Street by John Brooks. It's a collection of essays by reporter Brooks for The New Yorker during the 1950s and 60s, which was first published as an anthology in 1969. As a result, it may seem a little dated from today's perspective, but while much has changed in the business world over the past decades, the fundamentals and principles of building a successful company have not, and many of Brooks' insights about business are just as relevant today as they were back then. Talking about business adventures, Buffett once wrote, "There's an essential human factor in every business endeavor. It doesn't matter if you have a perfect product, production plan, and marketing pitch, you'll still need the right people to lead and implement those plans." While Buffett's considered one of the world's most successful investors of all time and has successfully led a business for several decades, he's not shy about turning the spotlight on others. In his 2012 letter to shareholders, he recommended William N. Thorndike's book, The Outsiders: 8 Unconventional CEOs and Their Radically Rational Blueprint for Success, writing that it was an outstanding book about CEOs who excelled at capital allocation. In this book, Thorndike, a graduate of Harvard College and Stanford Graduate School of Business, takes a closer look at the incredible stories of 8 successful CEOs who took a radically different approach to corporate management. While readers may not be familiar with the names of some of these CEOs, they will probably have heard of the companies, which include General Cinema, Ralston Purina, General Dynamics, and Capital Cities Broadcasting, as well as Buffett's own company, Berkshire Hathaway, whose director, Tom Murphy, he called overall the best business manager I've ever met. Warren Buffett is constantly asked for advice on investing and managing companies, so a book that summarizes the tips he's given over the years is obviously a must-read for anyone interested in becoming as successful as the Oracle of Omaha. Edited by Peter Bevelen, A Few Lessons for Investors and Managers from Warren Buffett is a fairly short book, comprising around 80 pages that contain timeless wisdom for managers and investors that are looking to learn from one of the best. Even though Buffett goes into important issues such as business valuation, characteristics of good and bad businesses, and acquisitions and other potential dangers, the book is quite an easy read. In his 2011 letter to shareholders, Buffett wrote that the book essentially sums up what Charlie and I have been saying over the years in annual reports and at annual meetings. Essays in Persuasion by legendary author and economist John Maynard Keynes is widely considered to be one of the best books ever written. Originally published in 1931, this collection of essays deals with topics such as inflation, monetary policy, and labor forces. It is required reading for many courses and curriculums and basically for anyone interested in investing in economics, according to Warren Buffett. In a 1989 interview with Outstanding Investor Digest, the billionaire said, "Reading Keynes will make you smarter about securities and markets. I'm not sure reading most economists would do the same." The Oracle of Omaha is usually asked for business and investing tips, but at 91 years old, Buffett has lived long enough to offer advice on life in general, and Carol J. Loomis collected it all in her book Tap Dancing to Work: Warren Buffett on Practically Everything. Buffett recommended her book in his 2012 letter, where he also mentioned that Loomis, a former editor-at-large at Fortune magazine, had been invaluable to me in editing this letter since 1977. In her book, Loomis talks about Buffett's investment strategies and delves into his wisdom on management, philanthropy, public policy, and even parenting. As you may know, Buffett is a father of 3, and he stated that he will leave his kids enough money so they would feel they can do anything, but not so much that they could do nothing. In addition to Loomis's insights into Buffett's tips, one of the chapters of Tap Dancing to Work also includes a 1996 essay from Bill Gates, in which he talks about his early impressions of Buffett as they started forming their close friendship. Would you have expected that there could be an investing book that will make you laugh? Probably not. But according to Warren Buffett, that's exactly what Where Are the Customer's Yachts? Or A Good Hard Look at Wall Street by Fred Schwed will do. In his 2006 letter to shareholders, the Berkshire CEO called it the funniest book ever written about investing. adding that it lightly delivers many truly important messages on the subject. The unique title of this book goes back to a visitor to New York who, upon seeing the yachts of bankers and brokers on Wall Street, naively asked where all the customers' yachts were, not realizing that the customers couldn't afford yachts despite following the advice of their bankers and brokers. Originally published in 1940, this modern classic exposes the hypocrisy of the investment world, taking a true look at the industry in an entertaining way that continues to be eye-opening for investors on Wall Street to this day. While many have written about how to analyze a company, L.J. Rittenhouse, a trust and valuation expert, used more than a decade's worth of research to write a book about how to analyze the person controlling a company. Investing Between the Lines: How to Make Smarter Decisions by Decoding CEO Communications offers readers a unique method of evaluating a company's trustworthiness and financial integrity without needing special insider information or knowledge in accounting. Rittenhouse reveals that all you need to do is take a look at things like shareholder letters, annual reports, and corporate correspondence you receive because they contain everything you need to know. The author explains her time-tested method of identifying at-risk companies before they get into trouble, the same method used to foresee the collapse of Enron and Lehman Brothers. Warren Buffett recommended this book in his 2012 shareholders letter and has stated that Rittenhouse is still on the side of angels. The Clash of the Cultures: Investment versus Speculation by John C. Bogle is another book recommendation from Buffett's 2012 shareholders letter. In the book, Bogle, founder of the Vanguard Group, who is also considered the creator of the first index fund, writes about the changing culture in the mutual fund industry and about how the principles of long-term investing are slowly disappearing, being eroded and replaced by short-term speculation. Many of Bogle's thoughts and much of his investing advice could have just as easily come from Warren Buffett himself. The most valuable tips readers can take away from The Clash of Cultures are Bogle's 10 simple rules of common sense investing. According to the author, this may not be the best strategy ever devised, but the number of strategies that are worse is infinite. Benjamin Graham is widely considered the greatest investment advisor of the 20th century and is also known as the father of value investing. He taught and inspired people worldwide, including Warren Buffett and his business partner Charlie Munger. Buffett has often described Graham's acclaimed book The Intelligent Investor as the best book about investing ever written, and it has indeed been widely considered as the stock market Bible ever since its original publication in 1949. In his book, Graham teaches readers strategies on how to successfully use value investing in the stock market, and over the years, market developments have proven the wisdom of his strategies as his legacy remains, with many famous investors praising The Intelligent Investor for helping them learn how to determine value in the stock market and successfully pick stocks for their portfolios. In his 2011 letter to shareholders, Buffett wrote, "In my early days, I too rejoiced when the market rose. Then I read Chapter 8 of Ben Graham's The Intelligent Investor, the chapter dealing with how investors should view fluctuations in stock prices. Immediately, the scales fell from my eyes, and low prices became my friend. Picking up that book was one of the luckiest moments in my life." In 2013, Buffett even called this book his best investment, saying, "Of all the investments I ever made, buying Ben's book was the best, except for my purchase of 2 marriage licenses." In contrast, Ben's ideas were explained logically in elegant, easy-to-understand prose, without Greek letters or complicated formulas. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger have been friends and business partners for decades, so it shouldn't really come as a surprise that the Oracle of Omaha recommends a book filled with advice by his business partner and vice president of Berkshire Hathaway. Poor Charlie's Almanac: The Wit and Wisdom of Charles T. Munger was edited by Peter D. Kaufman, and according to Buffett, it's a sensational book, and anybody that reads it is going to learn a whole lot. The book offers readers decades worth of financial wisdom in the form of speeches and essays written by Charlie Munger, with many especially praising The Psychology of Human Misjudgment, an essay in which he explains the cognitive traps that investors fall into. This book is for anyone who also enjoys Buffett's sense of humor, wit, and way of offering advice. And in his 2010 shareholder letter, the Berkshire CEO joked that you should even consider buying the Chinese language edition of the book, saying, "So what if you can't read Chinese? Just buy a copy and carry it around. It will make you look urban and erudite." So, do you agree with our list? Which of these books do you want to dive into first? Leave a comment down below and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to never miss an upload.